Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today we're plunging headfirst into something, well, intense. We're heading into the dense, sweltering heart of Malaya.
Yeah, forget those grand battles you see in movies. This is different.
Totally different. Think Shadow War. A relentless, grinding conflict fought over decades. We're talking ambushes bursting out of the jungle.
Propaganda whispered on the wind.
And whole communities just uprooted, forced behind barbed wire. It's visceral stuff.
It really is. This isn't just about skirmishes. It's about how a nation was literally forged in fire.
Exactly. War, decolonization, simmering ethnic tensions. It's all in there. So our deep dive today covers Malaysia's conflicts from 1941 right through to 1989, almost half a century.
A massive sweep of history.
And we want to unpack how this legacy, the flawed colonial setup, the brutal Japanese occupation, these long, drawn-out insurgencies, how it didn't just draw borders on a map.
No, it went much deeper than that.
It imprinted itself onto Malaysia's identity, its economy, its whole social fabric, and you can still feel those echoes today, can't you?
Absolutely, and that's the crucial point, isn't it? These aren't separate little wars.
Right.
It's one single tangled story. A half-century struggle where, honestly, telling friend from foe, liberator from oppressor,
Yeah.
it got brutally blurred.
A complex, harrowing tapestry. Okay, so where do we start untangling it?
We have to go back to the foundations, the colonial inheritance.
Ah, yes, a poison chalice.
Yeah.
British Malaya. It wasn't ever really one place aiming to be a nation, was it?
Not at all. It was deliberately fragmented. You had the Strait Settlements, Singapore, Penang, Malacca, directly run by the British.
Okay.
Then the Federated Malay States, more indirect rule there.
Right.
And the Unfederated States, with even more nominal local control.
A patchwork designed for one thing.
Economic extraction,
No.
pure and simple. Build an economy based on tin and rubber and funnel it all back west.
And the key to managing that was the old classic divide and rule.
Oh, they perfected it. It wasn't just observing ethnic differences. They actively dug those trenches deeper, stopped any kind of unified Malayan identity from forming.
Because a unified population is a dangerous population, right, from that point of view.
Precisely. Keep loyalties local, keep communities compartmentalized. Malays often push towards agriculture, framed as protecting tradition, but
Welcome
really...
them out of the lucrative bits.
Exactly. Chinese immigrants brought in for the mines, for trade, living in urban areas. Indians indentured for the rubber plantations, often isolated. Separate schools, separate lives.
All by design. And the wealth, just sucked straight out. Minimal benefit left behind for Malaya itself.
You see it starkly in the infrastructure, don't you?
Yeah, the railways, the ports. We think of nation building, connecting people.
But that wasn't the goal here. It was an efficient pipeline. A conveyor belt, like you said. Tin and rubber, straight from the interior to the ships.
Cynical is the word. Utterly cynical calculation behind the progress. Progress for the empire, that is.
And it created this compartmentalized society. Economic function rigidly tied to ethnicity. Malays often rural, Chinese in tin and commerce, Indians on the estates.
It wasn't just neglect, it was policy. A system built on racial capitalism.
Absolutely. It was a ticking time bomb, carefully engineered divisions, just waiting for the pressure to build.
And when decolonization eventually hit, boom, you knew it was going to explode. The stage was perfectly set for what came next.
Decades of conflict.
And explode it did. First, with a brutal foreign invasion. Let's get into part one. The Crucible, the Japanese occupation, 1941 to 45. This is where that myth of British invincibility just got shattered.
Utterly shattered. December 8th, 1941, the Japanese invasion begins, almost simultaneous with Pearl Harbor. Coordinated. Audacious.
And fast. Terrifyingly fast. Yamashita's forces, they just swept down the peninsula.
They did, and their tactics caught the British completely off guard. Everyone expected ships and naval assault.
But they came overland, through the jungle.
On bicycles. Thousands of soldiers on bikes, moving rapidly, bypassing defenses. The British were fixated on the sea, totally unprepared for that land assault.
And the fall of Singapore, February 15th, 1942, 70 days. The Gibraltar of the East, supposedly impregnable.
It wasn't just a military defeat, it was a psychological catastrophe for the British.
The massive blow to their prestige, their whole imperial image. And you have to think about the impact on the local people, seeing the supposedly invincible masters just crumble.
It changed everything. That myth of white superiority, exposed as a sham,
Yeah.
it lit a fire under aspirations for self-determination all across Asia.
The old order was broken, no going back.
None at all. The seeds of independence were sown right there, in that defeat.
But life under the Japanese, life under the rising sun, as they called it quickly became a nightmare.
A vicious reality.
Yeah.
3.5 years of trauma. The colonial economy, reliant on Britain, just collapsed overnight.
Leading to immediate severe food shortages, rice especially.
Yeah, and the Japanese response. Print money. Vast amounts of unsecured currency. Banana money, people called it.
Worthless,
Yeah.
basically, causing runaway inflation, desperate poverty, people doing anything to survive.
And the brutality. It was constant. Forced labor, the death railway, torture, massacres were horrifyingly common
Used to crush any dissent.
and disproportionately targeted at the Chinese community. Because of the ongoing Sino-Japanese War, the Japanese military was absolutely ruthless towards them. Mass killings, like the Sukching massacre in Singapore. Just
So it wasn't just hardship, it was deliberately deepening those ethnic divisions.
Exactly, exploiting them, inflaming them. You hear these harrowing stories. Women disguising themselves as men to avoid assault. Families hiding in abandoned mines. Kids smuggling rice.
Just unimaginable desperation, people fighting tooth and nail to survive each day.
It was a crucible, like you said. It hardened people, yes, fostered a grim resilience.
But also deep fear, deep resentment, mistrust, especially between ethnic groups. A brutal lesson in relying only on yourself.
And out of that desperation, resistance started to form in the jungle.
The Malayan People's Anti-Japanese Army, the MPAJA.
Formed in late 41. And here's the incredible irony. It was a last-minute alliance between the retreating British and their sworn enemies, the Malayan Communist Party, the MCP.
Talk about strange bedfellows. The British, in sheer desperation, started arming and training communists.
Because they shared a common enemy, right? The MPAJ was overwhelmingly Chinese, driven by communist ideology, but also a burning desire for revenge against the Japanese.
So the British taught them guerrilla warfare, sabotage, ambushes, how to survive in the jungle.
Exactly. Gave them weapons, funds, advice, helped them build a network. They were literally training their future adversaries.
The irony is just staggering. These fighters, learning tactics from the British, were already stashing weapons away for later.
For the next fight, it was a Faustian bargain, no doubt about it. A problem deferred, but one that would come back to bite them hard.
So when Japan surrenders in 45, the war isn't over for Malaya.
Not even close. The players just change. The fight for the country's future was only just beginning.
And this period, immediately after the surrender, it left society deeply fractured.
Utterly fractured. Remember, the Japanese had favored Malays in the administration while persecuting the Chinese. So when the Japanese collapsed, there was this power vacuum, weeks before the British properly returned. And the MPAJ, mostly Chinese, emerged from the jungle feeling powerful, vindicated.
And looking for revenge.
Exactly. They carried out violent reprisals against Malays accused of collaborating. It wasn't ancient history bubbling up. This was fresh, raw violence. Fear, suspicion, ethnic hatred laid bare.
A deep bleeding wound, directly feeding into the next conflict.
You absolutely have to grasp this to understand what happens next. The occupation didn't just break the economy, it ripped the social fabric apart, left these raw fault lines between communities.
A savage awakening, which brings us straight into part 2, the First Emergency, 1948 to 1960, a war for hearts and minds, or maybe something else.
The red tide, as it was seen. And it started in chaos. Post-war Malaya was a mess, economic hardship, political turmoil.
The British returned, but their authority was shot. People remembered their defeat.
And their first big political move backfired spectacularly. The Malayan Union Plan, equal citizenship for all.
Sounds good on paper, maybe.
But it provoked fierce opposition from Malay nationalists, worried about losing their privileges. So the British backed down, scrapped it, and created the Federation of Malaya instead in 48.
Which entrenched Malay's special rights.
Exactly. And that deeply alienated the Chinese community. Many felt betrayed. They'd fought the Japanese. Now they were second-class citizens.
A perfect storm for the MCP, now outlawed, to step back in.
They saw their chance. June 16, 1948. Communist guerrillas assassinate 3 European rubber planters. A deliberate flashpoint.
And the British response: declare a state of emergency.
Which wasn't just semantics. It was about insurance, wasn't it?
Bizarrely, yes. Plantation and mine insurance policies wouldn't cover losses in a declared war, so emergency it was. A bureaucratic loophole that kicked off a decade of brutal conflict.
And the rebels, now calling themselves the Malayan National Liberation Army, the MNLA, these were the hardened veterans of the MPAJA, still led by Chin Peng.
Their strategy, classic guerrilla stuff, hit the economy tin, rubber, ambush patrols, melt back into the jungle.
And crucially, rely on the Minuan, their civilian support network.
Mostly those Chinese squatters, right? Living on the jungle fringes, often without legal land rights.
Exactly. Marginalized people,
Yeah.
precarious lives. The communists offered them a promised land, equality, a future, a powerful, seductive message, even if the path was bloody.
And for the first couple of years, the British were really struggling. Their military sweeps weren't working.
They hadn't figured it out yet, until 1950. Lieutenant General Sir Harold Briggs arrives.
The game changer.
Absolutely. Briggs saw it wasn't just about killing guerrillas. The key was breaking that link, separating the insurgents from the people who supported them. The Briggs Plan.
A revolution in counter-insurgency thinking, moving from just brute force to, well, strategic population control.
A brutal calculus, maybe, but they were determined.
And the main tool, resettlement. Massive coercive resettlement.
Staggering scale. Around 500,000 people, mostly Chinese squatters, forced from their homes, often with just hours' notice.
Moved into these fortified camps, the new villages.
Over 400 of them. And let's be clear what these were. Barbed wire fences, watchtowers, floodlights, strict curfews, constant ID checks.
And crucially, food rationing. Every grain of rice controlled.
The aim was simple. Starve the guerrillas in the jungle. Cut off their supplies, their intelligence. Dry up the sea they swam in. Utterly ruthless.
But there was that weird duality, wasn't there? The perverse twist.
There was. Because these villages, these controlled camps, also offered things many squatters never had. Basic schools, clinics, clean water, things that actually improved lives in some ways.
And the big one, legal land titles within the village.
Exactly. Turning illegal squatters into homeowners, giving them a stake, however coerced, in the system. It wasn't just control. It was this weird, bitter offer of stability.
Deep resentment mixed with a newfound security. A bitter pill indeed.
And it fundamentally changed Malaya's landscape. Social engineering on a massive scale created these dense Chinese communities that still exist today.
So you have the physical control, then came the psychological war.
Right. General Templar, Briggs' successor, famously talked about winning hearts and minds.
Sounds noble. Was it?
Well, the reality was more complex. Less about affection, more about calculated control. The kindness was often just sugarcoating on the coercion pill.
So what did it involve? The soft side.
Massive propaganda. Hundreds of millions of leaflets dropped. Amnesty offers, rewards for info, voice aircraft flying low, broadcasting appeals from surrendered fighters.
Yeah.
Psychological pressure.
On the hard side.
That was grim. Torture during interrogations was documented. Collective punishments for villages suspected of helping the communists. Extrajudicial killings.
Like the Batang Kali massacre, unarmed villagers executed.
Exactly. And the public display of dead insurgents' bodies. Gruesome deterrence. That was the reality behind the Hearts and Minds slogan. A bloody, no-holds-barred fight.
Can you argue the psychological stuff only worked because the physical control was already locked down by the new villages?
Absolutely. You can't win loyalty if you can't control the environment. The Briggs Plan provided that foundation. Containment first, then persuasion, or coercion.
But the killer blow, the thing that really finished the insurgency politically, that was independence, wasn't it? Merdeka.
August 31st, 1957.
Ah.
The Federation of Malaya becomes independent. This was the masterstroke.
How so?
It completely undercut the MCP's entire reason for being. They claimed to be anti-colonial freedom fighters, but now they were fighting against an independent, sovereign Malayan government, their own government, in theory.
Stripped them of their main justification. Their legitimacy just evaporated.
Exactly. Their narrative was gutted. Who are they liberating Malaya from now?
So, squeezed by the new villages, politically illegitimate after Merdeka, the MNLA just faded.
Bled out, essentially. They fought on for a few more years, but the game was up. By 1960, the emergency was officially declared over.
Not a clear victory, but a slow, grinding defeat for the communists. Military force, social control, political cunning, a hell of a combination.
One of the most studied counterinsurgency campaigns ever. For good reason.
Okay, so one fire seemingly put out, but almost immediately another conflict flares up. Part 3, Confrontasi. The undeclared war in Borneo, 63 to 66, starts with Indonesia wanting to crush Malaysia.
Yeah, this stemmed from the British plan to create the Federation of Malaysia. Malaya, Singapore, plus Sarawak and North Borneo. A bigger, supposedly more stable nation.
But Indonesia's President Sukarno wasn't having it.
Not at all. Sukarno was fiercely nationalist. He saw Malaysia as a British puppet state, neo-colonialism in disguise, designed to contain Indonesia's influence.
So he launched confrontation, vowed to crush this new nation.
It wasn't just politics, it was pride, regional power plays, this deep suspicion of lingering colonial influence.
And the actual fighting started after a failed revolt in Brunei.
Right. The Indonesian-backed Brunei revolt in late '62 was crushed quickly by British and Gurkha troops. That failure pushed Sukarno towards this low-intensity campaign cross-border raids into Borneo, trying to destabilize Malaysia through guerrilla tactics.
An undeclared war. What does that even mean in practice?
It means things get damn blurry. No formal declaration, no clear front lines, just this creeping aggression. Probing attacks, sabotage, trying to bleed Malaysia without risking a full-scale conventional war.
Which led to this grinding jungle war in Borneo.
An absolutely unforgiving environment. Dense, disease-ridden jungle. This was small unit stuff. Indonesian infiltrators crossing the border trying to hit patrols or villages.
An infantryman's nightmare.
Totally. And the Commonwealth response, British, Aussies, Kiwis, Gurkhas, was built around these incredibly daring secret operations. Codename?
Claret.
Claret operations. What were they?
Small elite patrols covertly crossing into Indonesian territory, sometimes deep inside.
Going on the offensive.
Exactly. Not just intel gathering, but actively ambushing Indonesian forces before they could even cross into Malaysia, taking the fight to them, denying them sanctuary.
That sounds incredibly risky.
Hugely risky. Terrifying, intimate fighting, often hand-to-hand, deep in enemy territory, utterly audacious. Pushing the limits.
Effective. Very effective. It kept the Indonesians guessing, constantly looking over their shoulders, made the cost of their aggression way too high. It became a war of nerves, stealth, brutal, close combat.
And the conditions, you hear accounts from soldiers.
Voices from the Ulu, yeah. Richard Hardman's accounts, others. They paint a picture of hell. Humidity, rain, leeches, terrible communications, constant fear of ambush, disease.
And the local knowledge was key, wasn't it? The indigenous peoples.
Absolutely crucial. Especially the IBAN trackers. Their jungle craft, their loyalty, invaluable for intelligence, for guiding patrols, literally saving lives.
And you get these surreal moments amidst the fighting, encounters in longhouses.
Yeah, tense patrols, followed by sharing tuak, rice wine, with villagers who'd maybe never seen a white person. A bizarre collision of worlds, war and humanity, side by side.
It really shows this wasn't a war won by generals moving pins on maps. It was won by individuals enduring unimaginable hardship, relying on ancient jungle wisdom, a hidden, visceral struggle.
And ultimately, confrontasi was contained. It was a limited war, fought to achieve a political goal, Indonesian recognition of Malaysia.
And the Commonwealth won by making it too costly for Sukarno.
Precisely. Strategic deterrence. The Claret Ops showed Malaysia wasn't going to fold. It was a reality Indonesia had to accept. The military pressure forced a political solution.
And the end came not with a battle, but a political shift in Jakarta.
Exactly. 1966, Sukarno falls from power. Suharto takes over. Suharto wanted stability, economic rebuilding. He quickly ended the confrontation. Peace treaty signed in Bangkok.
No big surrender ceremony, just politics changing. A different kind of victory.
Sometimes the most effective kind.
But the story isn't over. Still one more chapter, Part 4. The Second Emergency, 1968, right up to 1989. The Communists return.
A chilling echo. Shows how persistent these ideological struggles can be. The MCP remnants defeated in 1960 hadn't vanished.
They'd retreated to Thailand.
Led by Chin Peng still. They regrouped, retrained, waited. Then, inspired by Vietnam, by China's Cultural Revolution, they decided to try again.
Believing independent Malaysia was vulnerable.
A massive miscalculation. But they launched a new insurgency.
And the start date was deliberate, wasn't it?
Chillingly so. June 17th, 1968. Exactly 20 years after the first emergency began. A deadly ambush near Krobotong on the border. 17 security forces killed. A bloody statement. We're back.
But as you said, they misjudged things badly.
Completely. The Malaysia of 1968 was not the British Malaya of 1948. It was independent, more resilient, more unified in purpose, arguably. And it had learned lessons.
Which led to Kisban.
Security and development. Keselamatan and Pembangunan. The Malaysian government's comprehensive response. This was the masterpiece.
More than just military.
Much more. It was dual-pronged. Yes, tough security operations to hunt the insurgents. But combined with this massive national development plan.
An evolution of the Briggs Plan.
Definitely learned from it. But nationalized, adapted, expanded. This was about nation building, not just colonial control. Address the root causes. Win genuine loyalty through progress.
Can you give examples of the development side?
big infrastructure projects. The East-West Highway opened up remote areas, yes, but also destroyed communist jungle routes. Yeah. Temigor Dam.
And land schemes.
Crucially, yes, FELDA, the Federal Land Development Authority, giving landless rural families plots of land, homes, support to grow cash crops. A tangible stake in the nation's success.
A powerful alternative to the communist promises.
A legitimate alternative, something the British could never truly offer. This wasn't just hearts and minds propaganda. It was building a nation, offering real opportunity. That was the game changer.
Understanding that security comes from opportunity, not just guns, a future worth fighting for.
Exactly. And it worked. The second insurgency never gained real traction. Gesson denied them popular support.
And other factors came into play?
Internal splits in the MCP weakened them. And crucially, geopolitics shifted. Malaysia established ties with China in '74. Beijing scaled back support for the MCP. The Cold War was winding down. Their ideology felt increasingly irrelevant.
So it became a long, slow decline for the MCP.
A war of attrition, really. By the late '80s, they knew it was over. Negotiations began, brokered by Thailand.
Leading to the WWII Peace Accords, December 2nd, 1989.
The official end. 41 years after that first emergency began, the MCP disbanded, destroyed weapons, members resettled, a quiet end to a long, bloody struggle.
But even with peace, the echoes remain, don't they? Unfinished business.
Oh, absolutely. You still hear claims from former members about promises not kept, difficulties reintegrating, lack of recognition for their wartime anti-Japanese role, the human cost, the lingering grievances. They don't just disappear when the fighting stops.
It's a potent reminder. Okay, let's try and synthesize all this. Half a century of shadows and scars.
It's vital to see it as one continuous narrative. Flawed colony, shattered by invasion, leading to insurgency contained by coercion.
Then defending sovereignty, then finally defeating the renewed threat through security and development.
And each phase left its mark. The new villages reshaped ethnic geography permanently. Konfrontasi solidified national identity. Kisbin cemented that link between security and development that still defines Malaysia.
Forged in conflict.
Truly forged, at immense human cost, but also showing incredible resilience.
So this whole tangled history, ethnicity, loyalty, belonging, the brutal choices, the engineered divisions, the hard lessons learned, it casts a long shadow, doesn't it? Even on modern, vibrant Malaysia.
Undeniably.
It makes you think. What legacies of past conflicts, maybe hidden, maybe obvious, are shaping your world today?
And what's the true cost of order when it's built on division? It's a hell of a path nations walk to claim their own destiny. How much of our present is just an echo of that past?
Deep questions. Definitely something to chew on. That's all we have time for on this deep dive. Hope you feel you've learned something, maybe see things a little differently. Until next time, keep digging.